Texas GOP Chair Abraham George, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, what is your headline from election night here in Texas?
Well, I think Texans spoke very clearly where they want the state to be going to and how they need to be governed. The conservative candidates won throughout from South Texas all the way to DFW, and yeah, it's been a great night for us.
And so, let me ask you because I went back and I looked, and former president and now President-elect Donald Trump won, had a bigger margin for a president in Texas, the biggest since 20 years ago, since 2004. He won by 1.5 million votes, beating Vice President Kamala Harris. Only George W. Bush had more when he was reelected in 2004, beating John Kerry by nearly 1.7 million votes. So, what do you attribute that to?
I think the Texas got really affected by this open border policy and also the Green New Deal. Our economy was in trouble. People were having hard time with the inflation itself. So all of those coming together, I think this was probably the election that was on issues, not on candidates, because both parties' candidates, you could say bad things about them, but issues, that was different for us. And for all Texans, they do look at it and say, okay, my pocketbook was better with Donald Trump in office. So that I think that's what it would come down to.
And as far as Senator Cruz, he had a big night as well, but he trailed President Trump's uh, margin of victory. Why do you think that is?
I think it has a lot of people showing up and saying, I know Donald Trump and his policies. It comes down to potentially just there's a lot of people who are just presidential election people, and they will show up just for the one person and do that. And there may be some who didn't like Ted Cruz for some policy or personality, or there may be some in Colin Aldrich's side who they've supported Kamala Harris and didn't support Colin Aldrich. So those kind of things is normal. And we think national news pretty much built Donald Trump's name here in Texas. So that, we were expecting that.
And when you look at the polls, the Real Clear Politics average of polls going into Election Day, they had Trump leading by 9 percentage points. He won by 14 percentage points. Cruz, the Real Clear Politics average of polls gave him a 4.4 percentage lead, and yet he won by 8 percentage points. What do you make of that?
I think our numbers showed better than what the polls were showing, but we just wanted to make sure because a lot of times polls are not true, but at the same time, we didn't want it to take any chance. And we had going into policy difference between Ted Cruz, where all of his ads were about boys playing in, girls sports, right? All of Colin Aldrich's ads were about abortion issues. So, and Texas is a conservative state, and we are proving that over and over again. And this is what people want. So that just shows we're going to be okay. Texas is going to be even more red in 2026, and we're going to work on that.
And what did you make of in Taran County, the fact that Trump won the county, which he did not in 2020, but he won this time by more than 42,000 votes. But Senator Cruz came close. He led all last night, and yet at the end of the day, he lost by 1,251 votes to Colin Allred in Tarrant County. What do you make of
Right,
that disparity?
right, but he still did a lot better than in 2018, right? So the numbers were better for both Trump and Ted Cruz. Overall, looking at it, we call it a really good win for us because we moved the needle a lot, and especially, Tarrant County have a diverse population, and for all the Hispanic population to move over to the Republican side, that actually is a really good win, and Tarrant County GOP did a really good job on that.
Now, we had heard leading up to the election about the gains that Republicans had made in South Texas among Latino voters. Talk to me about what the results were in South Texas and really in the entire state. What have you seen?
Well, the Latino voters, I think they were affected by the open border policy than anybody else. Plus, they are very conservative when it comes to family values. So all of that playing along with, the Republican Party of Texas, we put in millions of dollars into South Texas. I was in South Texas personally. I couldn't, at least 20 times over the last few weeks. So they worked hard. The county chairs, the precinct chairs, and this open border policy was a simple, easy target for us to talk about. And overall, Latino voters are starting to see, Republican Party is not the racist party that the Democrats always talk about. We're the party of people who wants to come and do the work and hard work and faith and family. And so Latino voters are going to be the backbone for Republican Party coming to the next cycle.
How much is the economy part of the Latinos voters' decision to back Republicans? Because I've spoken with a number of Latino leaders. They say they're not really focused much on ideology. They're more focused on practicality, on kitchen table issues.
Yeah, I think that is a really good assessment. I mean, the minority population, especially blue collar population, was affected more than the white collar population in Biden Harris administration. Along with that, with the open border policy, all the crime in the South Texas area, all of those things combined, they decided they're not gonna be part of the Democrat party anymore. And then abortion is a main issue in that community. I mean, a lot of them are Christians, Catholics. It's a very religious community, Hispanic population is. So that also played a lot into this whole election cycle.
And before I ask you about the state legislature, I wanted just to ask you, now that Trump is going back to the White House, I know that on election night, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton was at Mar-a-Lago. Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller was at Mar-a-Lago. And I'm wondering, do you expect them to become part of the Trump administration? There's a lot of buzz about which Texas Republicans are going to go into the Trump administration.
Jack, your guess is as good as mine on that, and I don't think anyone can predict the future. So I really don't know the answer to it, other than it would be great to have some real good Texas representation in the administration.
And so let's talk about the state legislature. What gains were made by Republicans in the state House and the state Senate?
So two for us on the state house. We were hoping for three, but we got two out of it, and a Senate race out of South Texas, which is, we count that as a huge win for us because it's not just a Senate seat; it's a Senate seat in the RGV area. That is a huge deal. So we're expecting to have a real good legislative session because of that. We have more strength, so even one or two Republicans not going to support one bill or two, we're still going to make it happen. So that's a good thing for us.
I know one thing that people are now going to be gearing up for, and that is who is going to become Speaker of the Texas House. Is it going to still be Dave Phelan, the current Speaker, or is it going to be David Cook, or maybe there's somebody else that the House GOP caucus selects? So talk to me a little bit about that, because I know the House GOP caucus is supposed to meet at the Capitol on Saturday, December 7th. Talk to me a little bit about how that's going to go.
Right. So majority of the House GOP caucus have signed on to two things. One is electing a Republican speaker from the Republican caucus without the support or any negotiations with Democrats. The other is not putting a Democrat in committee chairs, which is a huge issue for the Texas Republican Party. So majority of them, 48 to be exact, have signed on to that. And I believe in the next week or so, we're probably going to see about another 10 people move over to that side. So it's it's really not going to be about personality for the party. It's going to be about who is going to stand with our priorities, which is one of them is no Democrat chairs, banning taxpayer-funded lobbying, talking about a school choice, all of those things that party and Texans want. It's going to be the measurement for who's going to be the speaker and who are we going to get behind. We haven't endorsed a candidate yet. We don't know if we're going to do that or not. Our SREC meeting is on December first week, so we will see if that's something we will get to have a conversation about.
And just to make sure that I heard you correctly, you said that you're expecting another 10 House GOP members to back David Cook in the next week?
We're expecting about 10 or so to come to an agreement that they will not support a speaker who is going to be putting Democrats in committee chairs. If that's David Cook, that's fine. If it is somebody else, that is okay. We are, as far as the party is concerned, we haven't endorsed anyone yet. So we're working with the House members, new and incumbents, to see what are they looking for? How does their constituents are going to treat them if they don't join the party on this? All of those stuff. Yeah.
And so let me ask you, as GOP chair, what issues are you going to be pushing for when the new session starts in January?
Well, number one priority is the border issue. That I think with Trump is going to be the president, that it's going to take care of itself. Then we have election integrity is a major issue for us. We're talking about paper ballots versus machines and all of the additional regulation that we would like to have. Then we're talking about infrastructure like water is a major issue for Texas. We're talking about power grid is a major issue for Texas. Taxpayer funded lobbying, getting that banned so people are not going to have to pay taxes to the cities and the school boards. Then they're going to go hire some lobbyists to work against their own citizens, things like that. So regular issues that are not really a Republican issue, but those are, every Texan likes to have things like that. So that's what we were worried about. That's what we're going to be pushing for.
What about school choice?
School choice is a priority for us. And that is going to be something, it's going to be very easy because we have 88 people now on our side. And I don't think there is enough Republicans who is going to join the Democrats anymore, because a lot of them who did realized that was a mistake but during the last primary. So uh, we're not expecting that to happen, but if that's what it is, that's what we're going to be focusing on a lot of our time. But I think we're going to have a school choice.
And my last question to you, you mentioned 2026 very briefly. I know we just got done with the 2024 election, but it's at the end of June, everybody starts thinking about 2026. And so I'm wondering what have you heard as far as candidates lining up?
There's a good amount of candidates who's looking at Texas House races, especially for some of the races that we think we can flip Democrat districts, for both Texas House and Senate, a couple of Senate seats and two or three House seats. Uh, Governor Abbott is up for reelection. Many other statewide are up for reelection. I know Abbott has publicly announced that he's running for reelection. So everyone else, we don't know how that all going to play out. Again, with anyone going from Texas to Trump campaign, that may open up more additional opportunities here. So there's a lot going on in Texas Republican Party in the next few weeks.
And I'm wondering, I had heard that at one of Senator Cruz's, I think it was Senator Cruz's final event in Cyprus on Monday night, I'm not sure if you were there, that the lieutenant governor said that he would back the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, if he decided to primary Senator Cornyn. Were you there to hear that?
I was not there to hear that, and honestly, I don't know anything about it. I know Ken Paxton have kind of mentioned that in the past. I believe it was on a Tucker Carlson show. But I haven't heard anything after that. And for us, that is kind of a little out there at this point. We're trying to see which Democrat district we can flip next time around instead of worrying about Republicans versus Republicans.
All right, Texas GOP Chair Abraham George, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.